are watching the Fan Club.
You're watching the Fan Club.
And you're watching the Fan Club. Do you know what time it is?
And you know what time it is.
It's time for the Fan Club. Let's go. Hey!
I can't do this on my own, cause you know things ain't always sweet when you out here in these streets. But my morph when it morph, I made a fake one.
Are we the only ones here?
For now we are, so that's okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
we'll have some fun with it. And we've got Rita Repulsa herself.
You too. Thanks for coming, guys. Are you having fun?
Yeah.
Amy, how are you? Good to see you.
Thank you. I'm good. I'm Amy Roll from Power Rangers Lost Galaxy.
Give it up.
And I'm Campbell Cooley. I've done 18 years worth of voice work on Power Rangers, Monsters, Villains, Alpha 6, and occasionally I got to be on screen. So
Thank you all for coming out this weekend and having a good time. I'm sure we've got some questions from the audience, but we'll get to some of those as time goes on. But I'd like to start with one for each of you. And Carla, for you, that would be you're stepping into the role of Rita as kind of a replacement face in the second season. Because what was it like stepping onto the show and working with Ed and all the others in that particular set?
Well, it was different because, you know, I had never had a role where I went and didn't really audition. I had a screen test. And I didn't know anything about the actor, or there was another actor I was stepping into. And when I got the part, I was just like kind of bewildered because she was like a 60-year-old woman at the time. I was like 23. I was like, why? I don't understand. But I guess the director saw something and he's like, no, you don't understand. There's going to be a storyline, and you're going to have to, you're going to be participating as an older Rita. You know, that's why they put prosthetics and wrinkles on me. And then they're going to give you a potion when you become younger, when you're a younger version of Rita. So it made a lot more sense then. And I enjoyed it. Actually, I enjoyed playing an older woman because, you know, she was a lot of fun. She was crazy, and they told me to make her a little more humorous, so that was a fun aspect too. And you know, when you play a villain, you're not that little goody two-shoe box. You can kind of, you know, get away with a lot of things. So that's what I enjoyed.
That's awesome. Very cool. Moving down the road a few years, Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. That was a really cool season too, of course. A little bit different than some that have come before. A little bit grown up, if you could call it that. And you get to step in. You the daughter of this weird puppet creature thing. Scorpius, indeed. What was the environment like for that show? How did you get casted involved with this?
Well, it was just an audition. Like, you know, that day I had maybe like 4 or 5 auditions, and all over the city in LA, still in LA back then. And I had to go all the way out to Magic Mountain to where the set was and do my audition. It was at the end of the day, and it's like an hour drive. So I was like, do I go? I don't even, whatever. So I went, and then I was like, that was something I shouldn't have done. I wasted my time, and then they're like, yeah, we want you back. I was like, oh, okay. So I really didn't know what I was getting into when I did it. Usually as an actor, or in my experience, you're just auditioning for as many things as you can and hoping that something comes through. Yeah, so when it eventually I did book it, I was just happy to have something kind of like regular, you know, like, okay, I can kind of stop the tap dancing, like trying to go for what, you know, and know what I'm going to be doing for the next year. So it was really just a job. And originally I was cast as a recurring character because my dad, Scorpius, was the main villain initially. And then they had one encounter with him, moving him to location, and they're like, you must die. You must drive yourself to set every day, because he was really heavy, like 400-pound puppet. So it took a lot of people to move him around and make him look like he was alive. Yeah. So for me, it was a nice turn of events. I ended up getting a much more, you know, money out of it than I was originally planning to get. But it was a lot more of a time commitment too. So I enjoyed it.
Oh, there's Zordon.
Now,
Could the good guy sneak in?
sneak in undetected. Campbell, we're down here with you for a minute. You started on Power Rangers in what year?
2005.
2005 was the first, and you voiced tons of characters. What was your first, if you remember?
Right, so I had been brought in to audition for SPD. I was not the demographic when the show came out. I didn't know a lot about Power Rangers other than, I didn't even know it was filming in New Zealand when they offered the audition. And I went in and I was absolutely petrified. This was my first professional voice audition. And I remember I was shaking in the recording booth. I was so petrified. And I got it, and they liked me, and they brought me back, and I was shaking the next season from just before. So by the time we got to Alpha 6 and Operation Overdrive, I was like, yeah, let's do this. All right.
That's awesome. And coming on full term for a full season, that's pretty awesome. You do the main villain. Do you have a story about being on the set, though? Kind of with some of the costume characters?
I do. So I hadn't spent a lot of time on the set, and Beast Morphers was probably the first time I snuck onto the villain set. And it was like, I think at that time it was the Crystal Dimension. And I walked in, it was like this warehouse, it was like big enough, it was like the size of a football stadium. And I walked in and it was just like, oh my gosh, I'm in the Crystal Dimension. And I looked over and I could see the suit actors for Scrozzle and Evox. They didn't have their heads on. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is really, I was trying to hide in the background. And the third AD saw me and she walked over and she said, who are you? And I went, I'm Scrozzle. And she went, you wait right there. And so she goes over to the director and clearly tells him who I am. And then he says, like, he sends her off, and she goes and gets the suit actor, Koji Mamura, who's the suit actor for Scrozzle, and he comes running over. He's very confused, and he's kind of waddling in his suit, like he has no idea what's going on. And he starts talking to the director, who was also Japanese, and they're just talking Japanese. And occasionally he would glance at me, and so it was obvious the director was telling me who I was, and Koji was like looking, and he went,
Aww.
and I was mortified. I was like, oh my gosh, I did not deserve that bow. So that was my introduction to the first villain set, and really the sets were amazing. I love being on the sets.
Let's see. Here. Very welcome you there. Very cool. Some more voices as we go. Come on, find a spot to be and enjoy it. Now, David, thank you for coming tonight and spending some time with us.
Thanks for including me.
Absolutely. Now, your time on Power Rangers is memorable, albeit very brief, right? Because we see you in hundreds of episodes, your face is always there, but it equates to you doing it hundreds of times.
No. They had filmed the character one time. I was only on like the film set for like 5 hours, and then they just used that footage over and over for the life of the character.
But the residuals, baby. Come on.
I get an ice cream sandwich every month. It's fantastic.
That's gravy train, bro.
It is. Oh my goodness. Well, welcome to everybody. Forever welcome to you. Always a pleasure having you.
Are you good? Am I in your way? Yes, sir. I don't think I've laughed harder. I don't know why, but I've had more laughing at this con. Not because it's not because I make so much money.
It's always good.
It doesn't matter how many years, I still have to put up with this shit. And vice versa. Okay, right. Anyway, what was your question? I'm having a ball. I'm sorry it's over. That's bullshit too.
The important thing is it's a fun weekend. That may always fly by. Speaking of flying by, I get to meet you. It's nice to see you. I'm Steve. This is Holly. Everybody, give it up. It's nice to have you here. It's good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me all the way from New Zealand.
Yeah.
You've spoken to me, some of you fried, talking my Kiwi accent. It's a Kiwi accent.
I wish I could just use it on the show. It sounds so much
Oh,
cooler.
I know, when I did Mr. Course,
Yeah.
Richard got to use his Australian accent. Oh, I'm very jealous. Yeah, just one. Only one of you can do that. It would have been a bit weird if you'd been talking to us.
Good sense. Now, your mom's of course. Was that your first foray into the Power Rangers? Did you watch Power Rangers or know about it prior?
Oh no, actually Power Rangers was a band in New Zealand for a while. With Blue Islands. Because we're so sensitive over there apparently. Although I have small children and they go, how did that happen? So lots of people back home didn't grow up with it. It plays now, but back then, we were doing a show for everyone else. We didn't really realise how much of a big fandom it did have over here.
It's great. Yeah, well, we're glad you made it here finally out here to Orlando.
Thank you.
It's been fun.
Great.
It's going excellent. Do we have some audience questions out here for some of these fans? I think we're going to start with Cole and Jack right over there. I forgot. I don't even have to do that. Yes.
I'm actually gonna say it's awesome seeing all of you guys. Zordon, it's awesome to see you. Kind of weird not seeing you in the tube though.
You don't bring the tube with you?
We should bring it around. Maybe we should bring a tube and just set them inside.
It's really kind of hard to haul around a large spa with me. I do miss the spa-like atmosphere inside the tube. There you go.
I do have a question for Rita. Has being at this convention and seeing all of these Rangers given you such a headache? Damn straight, buddy!
To make it realistic, you should stand behind the car and just duck down and say it and chill out.
I'll say it. I'm sorry, I'll say it.
Damn straight!
Oh man, guys, it's fun. Awesome. Ooh, we're gonna hand it right over here. I'm gonna be there. Here you go.
In all of the cons and everything, I know fans bring gifts. What is one of your favorite gifts that a fan has maybe brought you? Not purchased from you, but something maybe they made or thoughtfully brought to you or had you sign?
Oh, incredible stuff. I had a crocheted Rita doll. Oh my God, it's so incredibly done. So much specific stuff on it. I don't carry it with me because it's a timepiece. It's something I want to keep safe. But that, and also what JC Alcantara, I don't know if you know him. He's an artist here. Made a Rita sculpting. That is, because she didn't have dolls in the beginning.
Well, they did, but it wasn't like
No,
it wasn't
it was-
now. She had like 2 dots on it.
Yeah, it was not high.
Yeah.
Those two.
I was actually given a Trikina doll many years ago at PowerMothCon by an aspiring toy maker. He had made himself a Trikina doll that was about this tall, and then the smaller ones, like the action figures of the Rangers, I think he had used another one and kind of erased the details and then changed it to a Trikina doll, but it was impressive. Hopefully he's working as toy, but he gave it to me if I would sign the larger one for him. And I mean, that one I hold near and dear to my heart. It's probably very time consuming. And then I don't remember, his name was Dion. I hope he sees this, Dion. But then more recently I got a coaster. I don't know, it's a stone coaster and it has like a cool anime looking Trikina head on it. And I use that, it's by my bedside. So I use it every day for my water glass.
Cool.
By my bed now. So,
The fans are so talented. They come up with a lot of great stuff.
it's very impressive.
There was one year where one of the bands was making everyone, I'm not sure if everyone, but they came and gave us these eggs that were made out of eggshells. But they were the characters, so I have a Rita one. I know, that's right, yeah. It was so intricate, and it's like an eggshell, it was so delicate.
Yeah.
But it was really impressive, so yeah, that was one of them.
That was a good year.
I think for me, I've been in this for really beautiful stuff, but the one that probably took the most time to make, it was like this banner, you know, it's kind of been knitted, the whole thing had been knitted, and when you looked at it, it was Alpha 6.
I've only done two because I'm a second. I did Powerful one last year, and so we made a full diorama of the whole cast, and there were a lot of us there, so that was lovely. Got a kind of cut out standing figure of Camille, but also today, I'm sorry, I can't really remember the original. I was quite young, but a friend gave me a pack of the 1995 collector's cards, and I got a Golda. Yeah, so I got this guy. You probably got some of those, right?
I don't think so.
Here you go. We'll pass it down. You can have it. Here you go. Pass it down. You have it. You take it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I got to open it and everything. I got to open the packet.
Well,
They're all stuck together from 1995.
It's beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I did.
That'll fit your carry-on.
It's a beautiful segue.
Yeah.
I've received so many personal things, and I'm always fascinated that people take this kind of time. Just this weekend, her name is Courtney, and she made these beautiful little, like knitted, crocheted or whatever of both my Magnum Defender and Goldar. And I was like, my God, how long did this take to make? Well, you know, about 3-4 hours each.
Oh my God.
How do I charge you for an autograph? Well, I don't. But I received, so much stuff over the years. A beautiful clay figurine that, you know, an artist kid that just took so much time to make this of Goldar. I think one of the things that got me the most was a handwritten, beautiful note when I did a show in Sioux Falls, Voices for Cancer, and this doctor puts on this big, huge show and sponsors the whole thing. And it was really the note that she wrote that wiped. Yeah, that's enough. It's pretty cool, but you know, you don't realize how much you think you're going in and doing the job, knocking it out, hitting the road, and going on to the next audition or the next job. You just don't realize, even to this moment, how much
your impact is huge.
how much how much you've affected people's lives, you know. So once again, it's awesome to be here and be a part of it all. Thanks.
I think it goes both ways, where you feel appreciative of us, but we, as your fans, feel appreciative of you for inspiring, or in some cases frightening us as children. And so I want to take a second first to thank you guys all for being part of this amazing franchise that we're all a part of. But to my question that I have, if you could reimagine your character, and Campbell, in your case, any of your characters, you can pick whatever you want. If you could reimagine it in a different way, maybe a different design or a different personality, or just something to make it more yourself, what would you want to do to kind of tweak your character?
I'm gonna take it. I closed it down, and then shut up. I think some of us lines are the same way. I wouldn't change a thing because I bring everything I got to the character. Everything I got. I leave it all. I leave it all on the microphone. Everything. And if I'm not happy with the take, I insist I do another one because I missed a little something there. So, one could say Goldar is pretty much a one-note character. But I think I brought many notes, and not to say that I didn't sometimes beg to change a line. Because maybe I thought I might have a better line. And more times than not, I got my line. And that's fun when you have the liberty to be able to sculpt it a little more. So, we're actors, we're not writers, directors, but some of us are writers and actors and directors. And when you get a little extra freedom. So in answer to your question, I brought everything I had to begin with. So there you go.
If you talked to me back in the 90s, I would have said I wanted to play Rita, especially when they ran out of the footage. And I did do a screen test once, doing that. And there was some talk about having that happen. And I put on that costume and I thought, oh my God, my neck can't handle this headdress. Right? And, in retrospect, I would say it was a godsend for me to just continue doing the voice. And I'm sure Carla had an issue with not being able to do her voice, if you want to tag on.
I did, as you know, I do my voice throughout my acting, so
Yeah.
the whole time I was doing my voice. It's just in post-production
They just drop me in, which isn't easy for an actor who knows how to act to get some voice. I'm sure Machiko Soba wasn't happy with me doing it either, but she didn't speak English. So it was a mix, but as you get older, you say, all right, well, that was my piece. That's my piece. And what a big piece it was. And, so I have no regrets.
I think for me, obviously, I'm much better in the future. I would have liked to have had more in-person fighting, I think, in her human form. Mostly because I enjoyed it as an actor, the challenge of doing a lot of as much as I possibly can, of the action work. I really enjoyed it, so I think selfishly, I would have liked to have a little bit more before she morphed into the chameleon warrior. That's about it, though, I think.
Yeah, I've always had this, my biggest frustration, my favorite character, a lot of you know, is Crossbow. I love Crossbow. But we have no backstory on him. We don't know anything about him after 3 seasons. And I kind of, in my own head canon, I kind of think I know where he's from and why he is the way he is. And I really kind of secretly wanted maybe him to have a redemptive arc, and you find out he's actually not as bad as you think he is. He's just really hurt. That's just
Gosh, I would have changed your life. The first thing I would have done is gave her a new outfit. The whole time she had the same damn outfit on. Don't you think? I mean, Rita being an empress, you would think she'd have a whole wardrobe. The same damn dress. And then the other thing is, when I got the role, I was actually a Taekwondo martial artist because I got the role from auditioning for a movie that was supposed to be from a martial artist, but Shiki had other plans for me. So another thing is, Rita was just so ready for it. She should have got her hands dirty. You never saw her fighting. She was always using her scepter, but I think that would be fun if I had a few fighting scenes with Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Or at least with Goldar.
Yeah. We got a lot of, back and forth tongue to each other, but other than that, I think that would have made it really spicy.
I would say for Trakina, when I first was told about the character and I'd seen some, basically like some renderings of like what the costume was gonna look like or whatever before it was made. In my mind, I thought it would be like stiletto, like very Terry Mugler, like very like edgy fashionista, and I had regular flat boots, which to me was a like wah wah moment. But I did fight a lot, so like it's impractical. Like the fashionista in me wanted that for which is what I do now when I dress up. Right, but yeah, my boots were actually just regular flats, just like the Rangers or whatever. But I didn't realize that you guys didn't get to fight. I got to fight a lot. So that was cool. And yeah, it's my personality. Yeah, so I like that. wish a little bit, nobody knows, to Campbell's point about his character, nobody knows about Trakina's mom. My dad was in the show, obviously, and I'm half insect or half, creature, but I'm also half human. And so everyone, I never even thought about this until I started doing conventions, and fans are like, what does your mom look like? So, so on those, I kind of wish there was maybe some story to go along with.
Yeah, Zordon was pretty much two-dimensional in the show. It was very kind of flat. I think it would have been a lot of fun if they had found a way to allow for some alternate screen time for the character. Whether he was able to exit the tube at some point and
Take a shower.
Or take a different form. Take a different form that might be able to, give advice in the field to the Rangers. Not necessarily fight alongside of them, because I think it's an interesting point that Zordon does not fight with the Rangers. He's just a very encouraging force, and believing in them is very important. But I think it would have been a lot of fun to be able to step outside of the tube and actually be physically present at some point. That would have been very interesting. Yeah.
Maybe like you're in the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
When he comes to the movie, they showed him the backstory.
He was a ranger.
Yeah.
So tell me, Rita.
Yep, it's already happening.
This is for Campbell, since you voiced many monsters. Is there one that you would say is probably the hardest to do? Because most of them sound very different. I would not guess it was you if it wasn't, if I didn't see credits for you.
They were all hard to do. I would say, it really just kind of depended on the session, how much dialogue I had. I can kind of do all the voices relatively easily, but some of the voices were harder to do, like Snide. Just every time I did Snide, I grabbed my voice for 2 or 3 days. Surprisingly, as easy as doing Cosmo was, there was a few times where if there was too much dialogue, I just stayed out halfway through the session. I had to bring it back days later to finish recording. Scrozzle, I don't recall ever having any issues with not finishing Scrozzle, but that is probably one of the more dangerous voices, because in order to achieve that sound, I have to push my voice to the edge of cracking, but not let it crack. So.
The only time I did lose my voice was during the Universal show that we recorded. It was 8 hours doing Rita for the way in the early days when that crazy show where the traffic shut down the 101. And but when we were all it wasn't just me in the booth for 2 hours. It was 8 hours with everyone else doing it again and again and again. And I lost my voice on that one. It bounces back, so that was a good thing.
Who's that question?
Is that for everyone, Chris, question?
Well, that's just at campus. He has so many different. I know you've done different
Sorry.
but no. It's one time.
If you could be any other villain or any other series, who would you want to be? And
I would have liked to have been one of the generals in RPM.
Are you talking about in just the Power Rangers franchise or Universal, like the movies and all that? Oh. I like that. Maybe Jiggy I always play around with her and talk to her in her voice. I don't know. But Rita she was fun, so.
maybe for me, I don't know so many different seasons, but maybe I would have been Dashi, and then I had a male, Camille would have been male, and so it would have been the female power. Yeah, with my that would be nice.
And I'm going to be greedy here, not to take anything away from the amazing Kelson Henderson. I think I would have loved to have been flipped. I think that would have been a lot of fun.
vomit you up.
Right,
And
exactly.
Now, those were strange things to film, I tell you.
Well, since I was a villain, I would have liked to have been the Pink Ranger.
Yeah.
I mean, my son at 5 years old would say, "Why do you have to be the bad guy? Why can't you be the Pink Ranger, Mommy?"
I think I would have made a pretty good Finster.
Oh, yeah.
In a film. I like that character a lot.
No.
It's mine.
I guess mine isn't really, I mean, Magna Defender wasn't really a villain.
I was gonna go there.
He wasn't a villain,
I got
but he's
both.
like a vigilante.
An anti-hero.
And, yeah, and I relate to, his
You wanna be
story,
me?
well, kind of, yeah, yes, that's what I'm saying. I want to be carried in.
No, I've seen that all weekend.
But I like his, like, I relate to his storyline, like seeking vengeance for his child or whatever, like, you know, that wouldn't even be acting, I do that.
I love.
And the costume's cool.
I so love that you feel that way. Because I have to say, I kind of got the best of both worlds. That was my favorite. I love Goldar, as I discussed, a one-note character that I think I might have taken out into a few more notes. But the Magna was hundreds of characters that I played in my whatever years, I don't know. My favorite was Magna. It was a tour de force, 9 episodes, that's all it was. But it was so well written, and he was so complex and complicated and tortured as the anti-hero that he was, that I didn't just come in and jump behind the mic and start knocking down lines with that character.
Is that where real life crashed into fiction?
Why don't you do that on the mic?
Is that real life crashing into fiction?
It certainly was. So Magna was my favorite character of all. So I got to kind of do a real badass, and then I got to do a really complicated character, which, you know, these are characters, they're not voices. They're characters. We're not doing voices. We're not doing fun.
You're a character.
All right. Jesus. Anyway, that's enough.
Like an old Harry Potter. I was thinking.
Like every convention, like
What is it?
Try sitting between them.
Curmudgeon Doris.
This is a question specifically for Goldar.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, this is a question specifically for Goldar.
I'm sorry.
How do you feel that the Boom Studios comics kind of expanded like more of his history? Like we actually see him without his armor on and everything. And also in the Japanese version of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Kyoryu Sentai G-Ranger, like the whole thing with his Japanese counterpart in Scorpina, they were actually a married couple. Do you think that would have been a little weird if they tried to incorporate that into Power Rangers? Also, spoilers, at the end of the series, they had a baby together. Don't question it.
Well, you know, dude, this is tough because you're getting into areas that, you know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, whatever the script is, I look at what I have to do and I ask the questions I have to ask of the director. And as an actor, I do what is required of me. You know, I don't go into the comic books and try to figure out any of those questions that you asked, with all due respect, and I mean that. If they had integrated, you know, Scorpina and my being married to Scorpina, considering who Scorpina was in real life, I, you know, would have let that go and carried on and dealt with it.
What a sacrifice.
Nice line, nice delivery.
Nice work if you can get it.
Anyway, I didn't really answer you because I don't know how. You know more about what you're asking than I do.
Fair enough. That's fair. Yeah.
You know, I didn't delve into all of the background of the comic book, and you know, I dealt with what was in front of me, and I asked questions when I need to understand better what is the motive here, or I'm confused as to why he's behaving like this. And there was a period in Power Rangers where it got pretty goofy. Well, too bad for me. I had to deal with it. You know, I wasn't making those decisions. And that's what we have to finally do. Or, you know, say, take a walk. Well, most of us aren't in that position, so.
I have a question for Holly and Karen. You two have played two different characters in two different seasons, both of whom I'm familiar with. Which character did you enjoy playing more and why?
Oh, is this going to be like divide the room? Oh gosh, Lily was my first kind of bigger role as a young actor, and it was my first American show. So I think when I was doing it, I was a little bit more nervous. So it took me a while to get into enjoying it because, of course, I was trying to work really hard to do a really good job. And by the time it came to Camille and they asked me to do Camille, I was very confident. I think I enjoyed Camille because of the arc. I mean, Lily had a nice story arc as well. And technically, I'm not a villain anymore, am I? I'm Lily or Camille because I got these two lovely redemption arcs. I think I enjoyed Camille. It was a little more challenging. Not to say that I'm like a ditzy blonde or anything, but sometimes I am. So being that really composed character, and then the lovely kind of love story that has been away with the chemistry with Jared was really nice to be able to play some of those lovely kind of dramatic moments. So yeah, I enjoyed both, but I'd say Camille for that challenge as an actor.
I'm sorry.
You went to sleep.
No, I didn't.
The question was, Karen, which character did you enjoy playing more and why?
Oh, I think I've answered it. That's probably why I went to sleep. Clearly, Magna Defender, and as I said, it was so complex and it was such a demanding. It was a demanding role. Usually, you don't get voiceover for the most part, and when we say voiceover, that doesn't just include playing characters. That's doing promos and doing commercials and doing trailers. You know, there are a lot of categories in voiceover, so most of them are not terribly demanding. But this was a very demanding role.
It also sounds like your natural voice sounds more like the Magna Defender.
It was, well, yes, of course, Goldar is Goldar. Okay. You know, and he actually took about 45 minutes to find a placement so that I could actually record Goldar, you know, for about 45 minutes, comfortably. It didn't hurt my voice. I still don't know how she does this Rita. I don't get it. It scares me when she does it. But no, Magna was kind of based foundationally, was Clint Eastwood, is where it started. That's what Scott and I said, I feel like it's a Clint Eastwood kind of foundation, and that's kind of where we started. And then I brought my own. And so, you know, it really, again, it had nothing to do with doing a voice. It had to do with really playing a character. And I'm told on a regular basis that nobody really can believe that those 9 episodes existed in Power Rangers. It might have been the best written arc in the entire series.
Alright guys, before we move on, I would like Holly to tell a couple of stories. She has to leave, so I would like, and unpopular, to let her have this time.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm doing it on the flight. So, But a couple of stories. I'm really disappointed Bea didn't get to come today because he's a delight. Anybody who's met how Morphicon, he's fantastic. I don't know if you remember, he had to throw off his hairy cape. And the amount of takes we had to do with that lemon cape landing on me or landing like very close to hitting the camera. I mean, he was a menace with that thing. And I remember we shot one scene where I was being dragged, around in the grass, and so we had this grass flying everywhere. I remember that day we were shooting that scene and this stuff flying into his face. And the amount of takes we had to take because he'd got to do his line and he'd get a mouthful of grass. And I'm just like laughing so hard. So we had so much fun, and he was a great guy to work with, so I hope you will get to meet him at some point as well. And I'm sorry that I had to leave so quickly.
Thank you for being here.
But thank you. It's been delightful. Thanks for having me, everybody.
Thank you for being here.
Give it up one more time,
So if you guys all of a sudden, for some silly reason, turned into Power Rangers, what color will you be, and who's the leader of your silly little group?
Oh, us. As a team, us.
Yeah, all you have to
I don't know if you saw it, but there's it's not really a meme, but there's a little post going around with Rita in the actual Power Ranger group, but she's brown. And there's actually a brown Rita Ranger somewhere around there.
This is us all being Power Rangers?
Yeah, yeah.
And who's in charge?
Yeah.
We're voting.
No, I am.
We talked
We're never gonna get
We're just
anywhere.
gonna talk all the time. I don't know if we can get Power Rangers.
This is
It's just
gonna be a
tiny.
real problem.
We're not gonna get anything accomplished.
It's called the end of the world.
I think this is not a good idea.
Yeah, this is the worst 2 minutes. Like,
Let's take a step back, watch this whole thing unfold.
Back into the tube. You're in charge.
I would morph into my silver suit, and then I would just disappear.
I'm gonna stay with gold.
I think I'd be teal. I really like teal.
We'll discuss.
yeah, if they got a mic.
We got a question for Danny. Here we go. From Danny.
Thanks, Rob. This is for Amy. So Trakina is probably one of the most badass villains out there, but she didn't always start that way on the show. She was kind of like a daddy's girl, and she didn't want to break a nail. Like, when you first read that script, like, did you know that she was eventually going to become a huge villain? And it sounds like no, like, it sounds like you were just the side character. So, like, did you, when you first read that, you were like, were you happy with the character at the time? You're like, man, she's not that badass. I wish she was a little bit more. Like, what did you think of the character?
Honestly, I wasn't really concerned about, like where they were going with the character, and I just agreed to come on as a, recurring. And then when they decided to pivot a little bit, and it was kind of exciting. Okay, now you're going to be filming 5 days a week. Now you're going to be the main villain, and I mean, they told me the concept of like how we're going to get from A to B, and it's going to happen in one episode. I was like, oh, okay. And that is actually my favorite episode. So, I mean, it was challenging. Yeah, it was a little bit challenging, but I felt like I feel like the writers on the show don't get enough credit for all the stuff they have to. I mean, that was an unplanned pivot. They had to come up with plan B just real quick, and I'm just always impressed. I hear tons of stories. There was tons on our series, and I'm sure all the other ones too, where they have to change things because of just life. Things happen, and I feel like they do. I get compliments all the time. Oh, your character's story is my favorite, or whatever. And, you know, lucky me. What did I have to do with that? Nothing, you know? So I just feel like they don't get enough credit for kind of the gymnastics they have to do to come up with this stuff, and they do it. I mean, from literally 1 week to the next.
Yeah, I remember.
That's how fast.
On the show, you would have a script in the morning, and then they change it in the afternoon. You have a whole different script. It was like they would change while the day was going on.
Most of you have been on multiple seasons with different Ranger teams, and my question is, what was your favorite season that you're on?
It's really hard for me to answer because I love them all, but I think maybe my favorite team was Beast Morphers.
Great season.
I'd say the first one because it was the first, sentimentality about that, but I have to say doing Orbis, doing Sprocket, and doing Rita, it was a real good season. Because they paid me for each of those characters, and that was a nice tough change. And they didn't know they was paying me because they had us do numbers when we auditioned. So they didn't know they were hiring Rita. For both Orbit, they just kept picking me. They go, oh, I like that voice for Orbis. I like that for Sprocket. And it was me. So they said, that's her? All right. Yeah, she got 2 other parts.
Yeah, we got one more question. We are unfortunately last.
What a nice segue. We hear all the time about the production schedule on Power Rangers, like 16-hour days, 7 days a week. It's crazy, and I think no shows alike. I was wondering if you have a favorite Savannah's Cheap story to tell, or in this case, Disney.
What was the last part of that?
Savannah's Cheap story to tell. And behind the scenes.
What is your favorite Savannah's Cheap?
Hey, I go my Is this a safe space?
Yeah, you're safe, bud.
Yeah, we've all got our own stories. I got one. We all got one. I got one. So you guys probably know that when we had the team up in Lightspeed Rescue, Lost Galaxy was done for a couple of years at that point, and they called us for a 1-episode team up. Okay, cool, and I agreed to do it and go back. But we don't all start shooting on the same day. The shooting's going to be a little different. Well, at the time, Danny Slavin, the Red Ranger Leo, he started before us. And he comes back and reports back. He literally came to our house after shooting in Valencia for the day. He comes over to our house in Studio City and he's like, yeah, everybody's the same people, everybody, but there's 2 camera crews now. And we're like, huh, what? And why? I don't know, there was 2 cameras. We were shooting everything for both cameras. You know, like you have to do it again. And okay, that's weird. So just a lot of unanswered questions. And then Archie happened to be, who was Kai on our show, Blue Ranger. Just by coincidence, he was dating a girl. This is before the apps and stuff, but he was, kind of the inventor of that stuff. And he had met this girl and he was dating her, and she worked in Saban at the corporate office in the I don't know exactly, like the mailroom, I don't know where she worked, but she had some inside info on promotions, that's what it was. And she told him, she's like, oh, so you're doing the McDonald's promo, right? And he's like, huh? And he didn't know it, but he reports back to, like, we're all, talking about it afterwards. So I guess we're doing a McDonald's promo? I don't know what's going on. So I go up to start working, I work half the day. There's 2 crews, just like Danny mentioned. And then it comes time, my contract was still unsigned. So, oh, you're gonna go sign, and it's on your lunch break, go sign your contract or whatever. So I was like, yeah, I wanna talk to you guys about that. So I spoke to Jonathan about it, and we got on a 3-way call with my agent or whatever, and she's like, yeah, we wrote the contract for a 1-episode deal. And they're like, we hear that you guys are shooting a 3D movie that's gonna be available with a Happy Meal for $10 at McDonald's, so we want to negotiate for that too. And they're like, no. So you can stay and work for 1 episode, but we're gonna do whatever we want. and you're not getting paid for that's none of your business. So I decided to leave, and that's why Tina has the mask, because it wasn't me. So I left because they were cheap. Woo!
That's a beauty.
Yeah, it's a big one. Yeah.
I gotta go back to my table, but I got a quick one, and I think Barbara will join me with it. Yeah, thanks. When the movie came out, or when the movie was going to be shot, and it's time to go to the post, and all of us being Sorich, Lord Zed, Squat, Babu, all five of us bad guys. And he offered us $600 to do the movie. Yeah, that's right. So there it is. So I'm going to be in the doghouse again because I'm speaking out of school. But you asked the question, whoever did. And we all banded together. Two of us, I won't name who. The two always were reluctant because they were like, oh, and it's like, shut up, we're not going to do it. And that's the way it worked when you went in numbers. Safety in numbers, and you're going to try to replace all of the bad. Really, good luck with that. Anyway, cut to the chase. I guess he put it up in front of an audience, and I think they probably threw tomatoes. Bottom line, that 600 turned into 10 grand, which is still pathetic. But but bottom line, he actually tried to do $600 for the whole movie. $600.
You know how big the movie was.
Anyway, I shouldn't have told that.
Yeah, the other thing for me was when they did become union, I was making $600 at this point. We earned it up to $600 at this point. And when they became union, I had 2 more episodes as Rita, and they did a deal with Screen Actors Guild where they were going to pay me $250 for my last 2 episodes. And so I said, listen, I spoke to Jonathan, and I said, I've got 2 left. Can you give me the rate that I've gotten up to as union? And he said, oh, all right, but don't tell anybody. So yeah.
It was brutal.
People fight but you learn. Cut your teeth on that company.
This wasn't during the Saban era, but when I auditioned for Megaforce and they offered me this ongoing villain, this was going to be my first ongoing character. Of course, in my brain, I was calculating how much money I was going to make. And somebody higher up the food chain decided, you have to understand, we were already not getting paid a lot as voice actors. We were getting probably paid a lot less than we should have. But somebody higher up the food chain decided, nah, we're gonna save money. We're gonna we're gonna offer you this. It was like, memory serves, it was almost half of what they had me pay. And I was just like, I can't accept this. But if I say, no, I'm not gonna do it for that, I could lose my first ongoing gig. So, I don't know how to muster up the courage, but I told my agent, no, I'm not gonna take that. And they sat on my hands for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I think like a week before they had to go into, post-production, or not post-production, but like recording the voices and everything, they made a counter offer, and it was like, $5 more than what they offered before. And I was like, no, I'm not doing this. And so they kind of bumped it back up to maybe, it was a little under what the original rate was. And I was proud of myself because I just thought, I didn't want to lose my first ongoing gig. And I remember talking to my voice agent later, and she said, I was really impressed. I really thought you would fold. I'm like, well, thanks.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for being here. Yeah, David, one more
Well, I mean, my biggest Savannah's cheat moment is basically my exit interview because I had told Tony Oliver, who was like the head writer on the show at the time, that I was thinking about leaving Los Angeles. I wasn't happy there. I was working 2 jobs, and afraid I was going to be living under a bridge and all this other kind of stuff. And it had nothing to do with the show itself. I was just like, I think I've done trying to do this kind of stuff. And he said, let's go talk to Haim. And this is like my first meeting with Haim. And we went up to wherever Hein had his office in that building, and was brought in, and Hein was, you don't like the show? I'm like, no, I said it has nothing to do with the show.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah, and I don't want to do his voice because it's going to sound, and do that kind of thing, but.
Please don't post any of this.
Right, and he's like, you don't want to do it? I said, no, it's not that I don't want to do it, I'm just very unhappy. He goes, all right, we find somebody else. And that was it. And I was like, and so
What's next?
Yeah, and it was very obvious to me that it's like, oh, expendable. And then, of course, like the next year, Austin and Walter and Trini, a tweet, experienced the same thing. So it's like, oh yeah.
You should have had a talk with us.
I couldn't because I was never on set with them.
That's the mic drop right there.
Yeah, that's right. Oh my God.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for an amazing time.
I want to give a special shout out to the Gold Ranger members, Salima Ramirez, Thomas Franco, Roderick Ham, and the Gamer TV Silent Gameplay. Thank you guys so much for your support, and if you want a video shout out like this one, sign up to be a Gold Ranger member today. Hey, what's going on? Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, hit that share button, and if you can, please sign up to be a member today. We have 3 membership power-ups. We have the Gold Ranger power-up, the most popular. You get into our exclusive fan club chat group. We have fan-exclusive videos that we are adding monthly now. And you get a video shout out. Yes, folks, at the end of our videos, I will shout out your name. We also have the Quantum Ranger Power Up where you get monthly meetings online with me. Yes, folks, we will talk once a month on Zoom and you can give me your ideas for future episodes. And then we have a professional package, the Dr. K Power Up. That is for businesses that want to tap into the platform. If you guys can, please sign up to be a member today. It is highly appreciated and it helps us keep these videos going. Thank you so much for watching and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Hi, we're Bulk and Skull. We have been requested by the fan club to say something funny.